What's going on there, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and you're watching Nocturnal Transmissions, brought to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. It's our weekly live stream where we talk about news, current events, esoteric thoughts or knowledge, as well as our movie review. Tonight we'll be reviewing I Am Mother from 2019, starring Hilary Swank and the voice of Rose Byrne. And this will.
That's who that is. Yeah, that's right.
and this will be closing out our AI month or Rise of the Machines month. To put it more to be more accurate. And with me as ever is the homeboy Rob.
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Yeah, a lot of interesting things. Of course, we also have topics for discussion. Little stories that come up in the news over the week that we find particularly strikes our fancy.
Oh yeah.
So we'll get into that. But before we do that, we'll do a little house cleaning and do a little catch up.
For me, I made an appearance on our friend Phil, his show, Making Tarantino the Podcast, talked about the Wrecking Crew. That just dropped this past Friday. So if you guys want to take a listen, wherever you find your podcast, go ahead and check out that appearance. Yeah, we talked about all the Matt Helm films, The Silencers, Murderers Row, The Ambushers, and highlighted by The Wrecking Crew, which is the last movie that Sharon Tate was in. Mm-hmm. And we enjoyed, had a fun time doing that. Obviously, Phil's been on our show. We talked about cinematic awakenings, mm-hmm. So that was a lot of fun. I went on Sunday. I had nothing going on, so I went with a friend of the show, Dan the Man, to the Vista Theater in Hollywood, and they were doing a double feature of Fistful of Dollars and For a Few Dollars More, the first two pictures of the Dollars trilogy, mm-hmm. or the Man with No Name trilogy. And I got to tell you, that was an experience. One, the theater is beautiful looking. It looks great inside. It's comfortable. A lot of space. The concessions are reasonably priced. The tickets are reasonably priced. For a double feature, it cost me $13, so not too bad. I got a few some of my movies that I'd been waiting on to come in finally came in. I got one of our favorites that we've talked about here on the podcast that I finally now have a copy of is Witness for the Prosecution. That was a great movie that we talked about. I picked up High Noon, a really great Western starring Gary Cooper. And I got a Humphrey Bogart film that I had never heard of before, but it sounded pretty interesting. It's called Deadline USA. And I got A Matter of Life and Death, which is the guy who did Peeping Tom, which is another episode that we had on our show with John from A Cut Above. It's the same director, and it's a story of this soldier who cheats death. He's supposed to die in battle, but he survives, and essentially the heaven is wanting to take him back, because he is supposed to have died. And during this bonus time that he's given, he meets a woman and falls in love, and it's him battling for his life, essentially. So it's kind of really, the cinematography is really interesting. I think the story is really interesting, and it's I'm glad I picked it up. So that's pretty much been my week. I've just been working a lot, getting we've been getting all the political mail in now, so that just makes things crazy. There's all sorts
Yeah, all
of
the mailers. Yeah, all the
advertisements.
mailers. You know, like, oh, vote for this guy. Vote for
Yeah,
this broad. What have
yeah,
you?
yeah. So there you have all the city councilmen putting their stuff out. You have the Senate. You know, it's all like the local stuff. There's
Right.
no
It's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not
as of
national
right now.
yet. You
Yeah.
know, because what is it? The general isn't until November, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, the general is in November. But I think they're starting like local elections. I think election day is next week.
Yep. I got
So
my
I think
ballot.
Monday. Yeah, yeah. I got my ballot too, so I'm gonna get that mailed out. Um, the Yeah, it was funny. We were talking before we started. Yeah, it's funny the ads I keep seeing for Steve Garvey, who obviously is a former Dodger legend. I think he does some broadcasting stuff as well. And the only because I think he's running for Senate for
Yeah,
California
yeah.
Senate
He's going after
against.
the vacated seat. You know, since what's her face, Dianne Feinstein passed away.
Yeah, and literally the only attacks against him that I have seen, like for all the commercials that are on TV, it's like he voted for Trump twice. And it's like that. Okay, so what?
Right, exactly. It's not as though like, oh,
It's
like it would have been more logical if they would have said like, oh, Steve Garvey beats up puppies. It would have been more
yeah,
logical.
something
It would
like
have been more logical if they, you know.
people don't real. That's not the knock that people think that is. It's like, okay,
I know, but I mean, like, yeah, because
it's
it's like, yeah, so he voted for Trump, okay, but it's just like, but in the mind of a deranged leftist, Trump equates to evil, so therefore Steve Garvey aligns himself with evil. Therefore, it's a valid attack for him for the Democrats to be like, oh, he voted for Trump
it's so
twice.
it's so dumb,
I know. I mean,
so
you and
fucking
I
dumb.
understand that that is stupid. Okay,
Well,
because we're
just goes
rational people.
to show you they have
They
nothing.
don't. Yeah.
They have no argument. They have that. Their best thing is like, oh, Trump bad, Orange Man bad. That's like,
Yeah, I mean, heavens
yeah,
forbid that
okay.
you run on your record, that you run on your accomplishments that you achieved while in office. I mean,
Yeah, and what are the policy changes that Steve Garvey wants to go for? Like, and why are those bad, and why are yours better?
exactly.
That used to be how we used to do things. I mean, I'm not saying that there was like this golden age of politics. It has always been
Yeah.
horrible, but at least like we at least danced around it a
Yeah,
little bit. I
at
don't know,
least we
man.
feigned integrity. You know, we
Yeah,
feigned the notion of competence.
yeah. It's
You know,
it's
now it's just
we're no longer competent
no.
as
We just line up. Whatever. We split ourselves up. It's like whoever line up on this side if you believe X, and line up over here if you believe Y, and have at it.
part of me wonders, is it that people are super dumb and they just, oh, that, wow, this is horrible, I'm gonna vote for Adam
Yes,
Schiff or whoever
yes,
else.
because I mean those people who are engaged, like us, who are engaged and know what a gigantic piece of shit Adam Schiff is. We see his political ads, and it's just like we laugh because it's like so absurd. It's like this guy who lied during a congressional hearing. Make
Yeah, he
he
perjured
perjured
himself.
himself, and then he got censored. But I mean censured. Uh,
Oh, for heaven
I know. I mean,
forbid he
yeah,
got censured.
but yeah, but then they'll wear it as a badge of honor, saying like, oh, look at these radical Republicans. They're out to silence, like they'll twist it and they'll make it like, oh, the radical Republicans are trying to censor speech or whatever. Because some people don't even know what at least in the context of Congress, what censure is, and then because it sounds enough like censor, they'll just make the false connection that this Republicans are trying to censor Adam Schiff for trying to tell the truth about Donald Trump.
Yeah, because they're idiots.
I mean, to my original point that I made, at the outset, yeah, they're stupid. So yeah, so like I mean, yeah, again, just before we started the stream, I told Robert, because we were talking about the political ads and stuff. I was like, I'm half tempted to set up a booth right in front of Adam Schiff's office or campaign office, with just like a supercut of all the stupid shit that he did. And he's like, and not even say anything, not even try to engage with people. Like, this is what happened, and try to get clips, and just be like, this is what he said. Like, this is. I mean, given the given AI and what it's kind of capable of nowadays, but like, yeah, this is like, this is all stuff that he said. All right, you can look it up on the minutes, in Congress. You could look it up, on C-SPAN. This is what he said. This is the lie that he told. Just so yeah, it's like, if you want a liar to be, to represent you, okay, fine. Like, but just know full well what type of person he is. And if you can live with it, fine.
And
you deserve him.
Yeah. And it's like, what has he done to make our state better? I can't think of anything. Most of these people who represent us, all they do is grandstand and like hang out in Washington D.C. and rub elbows and go to parties and take your tax money to do nothing.
I mean, again, that's not just a knock at the Democrats. It's Republicans too. Feckless Republicans like Kevin McCarthy and what's his face, McConnell, Turtle Man.
Oh my God, yeah. We're not turtly enough for his Turtle Club.
That's a deep cut for any Dana Carvey fans out there. All right, that's a deep cut.
That is the one scene of that movie that is remotely funny.
Yeah, and so
Oh God, that movie's bad. Oh shit! I shouldn't give you fodder for Schlocktober. God damn it.
But it is hilarious that all the Democrats running for Senate right now, their only attack against the Republican Steve Garvey, Dodger legend, is that he voted for Trump. That's it.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you could maybe like, okay, he's inexperienced. He's never done this before. His idea on this and this aren't gonna work. And you can, but no, they don't have any of that. It's just he voted for Trump twice.
Because of Steve Garvey's lack of political experience, like, there's not much to go on. But you could splice up something that he said at a rally or something and be like, what if he said that he wanted to reduce taxes, and then, not even joking, that this is what they'll do is they'll take that and then they'll flip it and say that he's trying to reduce benefits, because most people are under the delusion that the taxes go to benefits. They don't. Right. I mean, and then, like, I don't know, but I know it's not well advertised, and if you're politically engaged can you see it, or find it, is the debates that they had for senators or prospective senators, and freaking Barbara Lee, another Democrat, a black woman, she's of the viewpoint that minimum wage should be $50 an hour. I'm not even joking.
Okay.
She literally said, we should have $50. And when pressed about where that money is going to come from, she went on to this word salad nonsense about, I'm a small business owner, I ran businesses and blah 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 blah.
Finally, you
Yeah, you
ran them
probably
into
ran
the
them into the
fucking
fucking ground
ground.
if you had boneheaded ideas like paying people $50 an hour to do menial tasks.
Let me guess. I guarantee that if she was not a politician, if she was an actual business person, actually owned a business, she wouldn't be giving no fucking $50 minimum wage. Because she would have.
But Robert,
she would have no business after like.
You have to remember now, she's a woman.
Yeah, because that makes everything so much better.
Yeah, she's a woman, so she would be that stupid to do that. All right, I'm just pointing out realities, folks. Don't get mad at me. All right, I'm just pointing out realities.
You know what I've noticed, and I'm surprised I didn't make this connection before, but you know how we had a topic a number of years ago talking about some of the dangers of charity organizations, and you have to kind of look into what you're giving your money towards, and the idea of anything that is like raising awareness of stuff that everyone fucking knows about, like, oh, we need to raise awareness of cancer. Who the fuck doesn't know that cancer exists? We don't need to raise more awareness of cancer. We actually need to put money towards actual research.
If you're talking about like really rare cancer, like cancer of like the kneecap or whatever. Like, people like 1 in like 10,000 people get cancer of the kneecap. It's like, okay, maybe you could bring awareness of that crap.
Maybe, but like, if there's something that like people are not aware of, and having events to raise awareness of said problem, I don't have a problem with that. But when it comes to these giant organizations that are like raising awareness to stuff that everyone fucking knows about, the point I'm making is that they essentially are taking in money to throw parties to get more donations to throw at the next party, because that's all it is. That's what these politicians are doing. They are taking your taxpayer money and the donations to their campaign so that they can run for the next office or the next election cycle, the next term. That is all it is. It's a shell game. Same thing with these charity organizations. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's an old joke in politics.
All that's happening here.
Your job isn't to represent your constituents; it's to get elected.
And this is why term limits are extremely important.
Right.
You have to. Yeah. You have to want to serve. It is a.
It has to be a.
It's not
meant
to be a career.
Right?
It's meant to.
The founders meant it to be a pain in the ass.
It's like it's like taking out the trash or washing the dishes. That's what it is. It's a job that nobody wants to do, but
as a military guy, you'd probably raise it. But digging the latrine, all right, it's supposed to be like that.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah. The ditch diggers, the latrine diggers. Yeah. It's.
Yeah. I mean, to their credit, they didn't foresee, humanity getting to a point where they're extending the life cycle beyond its, contemporary, at the time of the founding.
Yeah.
What was it? They didn't foresee humanity extending the life of of the contemporaries. So
Yeah, because it.
Yeah, because 35 was more than middle age back then.
They didn't have the maximum age because 35 was ancient 35 back then.
35 was like past middle aged.
Yeah,
35. You're considered
that's why
a
they
grand
didn't
elder,
have maximum age.
For those times.
Yeah, that's probably why they didn't have
a grand elder at 35.
Yeah.
Hell, if you're 50, you're you're one of the revered elders by then. If you reach the 50.
Yeah. Because many of the early presidents didn't live much past their presidency. Yeah, because I think Washington died shortly after, and the other thing is most of them were destitute, not like making $100 million on fucking book deal.
Right, it was Truman that ushered in that kind of tradition, wasn't it?
No, I believe it was Grant, and Grant asked for permission to write because he was broke. He was dying of cancer, and he wanted to write his memoirs and be able to sell that so that his family would have money. And he, I think, pretty much got permission from, I think, Congress to do that, just to make sure it was ethical for him to do that. And then Truman was the one who got the permission to build the presidential library afterwards.
So
that was his claim to fame.
So Truman was the one.
Because he
Truman
also
left
was broke.
the White House broke too, but he was the one to institute the whole like tradition of building libraries after themselves.
That was he was the first one.
Okay, that's where I got it mixed up. Okay.
Yeah. So you were not far off. Yeah, it was just you. But they kind of broke ground on a couple of things. Grant was the first president to write, I think, to write his own memoirs, and Truman was the first to build like the presidential libraries, which to be honest are kind of cool. I mean, obviously we have the Reagan Library near us where we live.
I've never been to a presidential library.
You've never been to the Reagan Library?
I've never been to any. I haven't been to Nixon's. I haven't been to. Wasn't it now?
Nixon's I do want to go to, but no, we should go sometime. We should go. We should take a field trip and we should go.
It's not that far
pretty
away either,
interesting.
So,
yeah, it's we could be there in 30 minutes.
For sure.
But no, it's it's all a shell game at this point. And like I said, 4 years ago, last election cycle, when you see all these advertisements that are out there, don't focus on like what's being said, because that's all usually, some sort of BS. Maybe not, but mostly it is. Look at who is paying, because they have to say who it's funded by. And then what you check out those organizations or the people that are endorsing it, what are they saying? What is their goal, and why are they endorsing this candidate? And you'll find out more about who to vote for by doing that than anything else, than anything that these people say.
Oh yeah.
Because they may be saying one thing, but the person that's funding them is like pretty much like all what he's saying is bullshit, and it's like they are going to do the will of who is endorsing them.
It's the cousin Vinny.
Because my cousin, it's like everything that guy just said is bullshit.
Thank you.
God, I love that fucking movie.
Dude, that is the perfect movie. That and was it? Yeah,
it really is. Movie. It's so damn good.
Yeah, for me, not really a lot going on. Just going to work. I did take this Saturday off, just so because I'm still dealing with my tendonitis. So just took the Saturday to rest it, and it did help. It no longer hurts, or there's no more pain, but it's just like there's some discomfort, but more than anything,
I know how that
it's
is.
just bothersome now. There's no like sharp lingering pain. It's just I get momentary discomfort, and it's just bothersome.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get that sometimes in like my shoulder, or sometimes like sometimes I get it in my knee, and it's just because you are using your body too much, and it's just like it's your body's way of saying you need to not do anything.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and I also got some bursitis too. I mean, I think a lot of women will understand this. Otherwise known as the pump bump. on the back of the heel.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
yeah, it's so funny that it's happening.
God, you sound like a 9-year-old. You sound like a 9-year
I
old
know
man
it's
right now, dude.
crazy.
Oh my burst sinus is acting up
I know.
again. Oh my
Just
god.
last month I had like I had sciatica problems. You know, getting old suck. Yeah.
I'm not making. I'm sorry. I'm not making
No,
fun.
I mean, it's funny. I know it's
Just
hilarious. I know it's funny. It's funny too because I mean I mean I'm not that young, but I'm not that old either. But even like my left knee is like giving me some problems, and like if I exert myself too much, like it has like feeling like it's gonna like give out.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like, gosh,
Oh
like
man.
what is like why do I have, why do I have to it feels like all this like happened all at once. It'd be one thing if it happened like slowly over time, but just like it's like my 40th year, and it's just like all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam.
Next time next thing you're gonna tell me you have like next week. So like, fuck, I got gout, dude.
I know. Well, I am gonna go see the doctor. Well, because I have a follow up from my yearly physical, but I was able to move it up,
Uh,
so I can also get the doctor to look at my bursitis and whatever to see if like I actually have to go to like an orthopedist or whatever.
get your
I don't get my
prescription
prescription
shoes.
shoes. I bust the Peggy Hill. Um, um, but no, yeah, it's. I mean, I'm not even that worried. It's just like my family keeps getting on my butt about like, oh, like especially my mom, because I'm her baby, and so, anytime I'm like having pain or whatever, like I have to have it. If I have a sniffle, my mom is like immediately go to the doctor and get a shot. It's like, what the heck, mom?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'd rather be like the last thing I want to do is hang out at the doctor's office. It's like just
I
I'll be
know it's like,
fine.
yeah, is it painful? Yeah, sure. But it's like I know what the thing is, like and with enough rest and and stretching or whatever, it'll work itself out. But of course, my mom is
Right.
always the worst case scenario person. It's like, oh, you gotta go see a doctor.
You're essentially in her
I know
eyes, you're
I'm dying.
dying.
So funny, yeah. It's like this one creator on Instagram or on the socials. His name is Reed Choi, and he did this funny skit about what he says versus what his mother hears. It's pretty
Yeah.
hilarious.
Oh man, that's gotta be
It's like oh,
hilarious.
it's like oh, this is my girlfriend. Like mother, I'm having coitus. It's like
Yeah.
it's like oh mom, it's like mom, I'm thinking of getting a tattoo. It's like I worship the devil. You know,
Yes. That's exactly what they
exactly.
hear. That's what when you get. That's why you have to just say that you just never
I
tell
know
your mother
exactly. It's like
anything.
he's like and then they try to guilt trip you for like, oh, you never tell me anything. It's like because you blow things out of proportion, ma. It's like
Exactly.
if you would just be like, oh, you should, maybe you should maybe you should rest for a little bit instead of saying, oh my God, you're dying, you need to go to the hospital. Maybe I tell you more stuff, mom. But
Seriously.
yeah,
Oh man.
I know. I'm nearing to be a 40-year-old man. I'm still griping about my mother. Well,
The
she's the only woman that'll love me for real.
that is true.
Uh,
Your
yeah,
mom will
yeah.
always
All
love
right,
you.
gentlemen. All right. Remember that your mother's the only woman that loves you for real.
It's not conditional in any way.
Exactly. All right. Let's get into the topics for tonight. Do you have a preference on where we begin?
All right, let's do it. No, it's dealer's choice. What do you want to start with?
Why don't we start with the what is it? The James O'Keefe expose.
Yeah. Okay. So this past week, O'Keefe put out another expose, and this was with I believe it was an IRS agent or someone within the IRS. And obviously, AI has been the big topic, obviously, because we're talking about it in essentially both of our segments. And what was discovered, what was revealed by this guy, is that the IRS is utilizing AI to spy on people's bank accounts, mainly so that the IRS can more accurately uh, target uh, stuff for for tax reasons, and they want to. First of all, that is unconstitutional. That should not be. That that's one of the huge problems there. But I think with all the ideas with the crazy inflation, all the taxation that's happening, we know that Biden was trying to get the funding for more IRS agents. So it was like 87,000 of them. And here's the reason why. Part of the reason why I believe is because we're essentially paying for the Russian-Ukrainian war that's going on over there. We're sending billions of dollars over to them. We're probably sending money or something over to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and well, we need to pay for that. Well, essentially, who's going to foot that bill? Well, guess what? It's us, and they're going to utilize whatever they can to monitor and target that money to take it away from you to fund this stuff. That's what's happening. And the fact that that is happening is very, very, very disturbing. And you notice too, like now is we are, it may not happen within our lifetime, but like the more that things are going cashless, oh, you have to pay through this app, or you have to pay through like your, with your credit card or this or that. And as time goes on, I think that they are going to eliminate actual, physical legal tender that you can hold in your hands.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Because of this very thing.
It reminds me of that. It's a clip that's been floating around, and it's kind of a meme for those of us who are getting older and like having to deal with all like this absurd technology that's supposed to be making things easier, but it's just really making it things more complicated. It's from I believe it was from the show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and the guy who plays Dennis, he's walking into a cafe. He's like, oh, like I want some, I want to get some tea. And then and then the worker's like, all right, one boba with tea, one tea with boba, and he's like, no. It's like, I just want the tea. It's like, oh, well, the tea comes with boba, and then like just kind of like, well, like we can't, it was like, well, there's the tea, there's the boba, they're separate, but let's just keep that going, it's just like, and then but she's constantly, but she's like constantly, like saying like, well, we have to sell it together. It's like, okay, fine, it's like, fine, like just give me the tea with the boba. It's like, okay, and then it's like, oh, like do you have it's like he gives her the card. And it's like the card's like, oh, we can't take card, but we could take the card through the app. It's like, oh, what you're saying, I have to download an app to then pay for my tea. It's like, then what the fuck are you here for? And just like more and more of like this absurd, like this technology that was supposed to be created to better our lives, make things more convenient, just become less convenient. and it's like less, less,
Yeah.
and actually offers you or gives you less control of your life. And so, I mean, and just like, and this, and to Robert's point about how, like how this, this is just like a step to, get rid of physical, like, cash money. And it's like, yeah, it's like, because, like with physical cash money, there's no record. You just need, you exchange the legal tender for the good or service, and there's no way of tracking that.
Yeah. I have a feeling that is another reason too. It's another way to keep tabs on where people are going, because you can look to that record. Oh, well, you used your at a gas station over here, and which
Right,
is,
because
when you're thinking about it, like when
right, because it is a workaround. It
it
is a
can be
workaround
help.
because
Yeah.
it's like because someone might say, oh well, when you use your card, it's you're leaving a trail, that way too. When you use your cards, like, that is true, but the government don't have access to the banks or the credit card companies' data. So if they want that data, they have to subpoena, or they have to get a judge to sign off on a warrant to gain access to your bank records, to your credit card statements, to then track you down. But if the government,
That
if the
is true.
government is literally controlling the money, then there's no judicial, uh, you know, there's no judicial hedge against such surveillance.
Right. It's eliminating those checks and balances.
Exactly.
And yeah, I mean, that's kind of like what, and with the like a lot of this AI technology, it's like they're already utilizing that to look in at people's bank accounts without their awareness or their consent, with no subpoena or anything like that. If that's what's going on, that's horrifying. And I hope that gets spread out a lot more, that people start to hear that, and it's like, no.
Right. And plus, if you don't have, dollar bills, how are you supposed to make it rain at the club, y'all?
Exactly.
Right. It's like, oh yeah, it's like,
Here's
make it rain with some Bitcoin.
where
Take
you
out
like,
your phone, just like flick your phone.
dude, we're probably getting, it's like, here's my AI stripper that I'm giving money to.
I mean, we're not that far off. We're not that far off.
You just have so
Although that actually,
what you'll end up having is you'll have like 6 dudes sitting in a room with those Johnny Mnemonic
oh yeah, like
glasses,
the Oculus,
and like
yeah,
they're just
yeah,
like
they're
taking
taking,
it
they take out their
in that
phone
thing.
and like they just flick on their phone on the screen, like, and then like the Bitcoin just like kind of like, or the digital currency just like,
Yeah, and it's like it's not even a
yeah.
real woman that's doing. Dude, that's a movie
I
scene
know,
right
right?
there. Dude, those things look like the that shit that Johnny
Yeah.
Mnemonic, Keanu Reeves characters thing is. And it's funny because he's like doing the whole, like, he has the glasses on and he's doing the whole bit with moving
Right.
shit around to like
Uh-huh.
hack into something. And these guys are doing the same fucking movements. It's what is that movie, 30 years old? Like, it's just like, I guess that's come to life.
Yeah, at the least, or yeah, at the least 30 years. I think that came out like toward the mid '90s, so it might be just like a hair, like, yeah,
95. I think it was
yeah. So that
95.
might be, yeah, that's like 35 years old.
Oh yeah, we're no, 94 is 30 years old. So it's like
Oh,
29 years old this year.
yeah. I'm not. Those of you who
The
don't remember, I'm not a math Asian.
No, that's okay. I don't blame you. It's fine. No, well, quick side note on Johnny Mnemonic. Apparently, they released a kind of more. I guess you could call it the director's cut in a sense. It's but it's in black and white, which was the intended look
Right, because
for the
it
movie.
was based
But
on a comic book, but it was like more like a graphic novel style, where it's like black, like kind of like manga style, where it's like black and white.
yeah. So there is a black and white version that's out there, and I saw some clips of that, and it looks
Yeah.
amazing. It makes the movie look better.
Something to look forward to.
But anyways, yeah, I don't know. It's just hearing that, and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is if we're not aware or careful, this is stuff that could be used. To be honest, I don't even know what a good use of AI could be, because it seems like the way that people are utilizing it is so nefarious. It's so disturbing as to what they're using it for.
This is my take, but it also seems lazy. And it's like, and tools are supposed to be, tools are supposed to help the user, right? They're not supposed to do the entire thing. That's why there's no such thing as like, auto nails, where like, the nails just drive them in themselves. It requires, a hammer with a user to, tap in the nails.
Right.
That's why, and that's why there's no such thing as like an auto comb. The comb is used by the user to comb their hair. There's not some like mechanical thing that goes and like combs your hair for you.
Yeah, it's funny because we, back in like those old Warner Brothers cartoons, where they would have we have the push button house, and you'd have like the buttons to push, and like
Those
you would do the whole like Rube Goldberg machine, of which I always thought was kind of cool back, I was watching that stuff, and you would have like in Back to the Future, he has like the automatic, like dog feeder and stuff like that,
right.
And it's like this crazy machine that Doc had set up. It's kind of the idea of like, we can automate things, and it's like super cool. And I'm not saying that there hasn't been some good uses for that, but yeah, like you said, laziness. And now where we are, I think people want like a Jarvis from the
Right, yeah,
from like the Iron Man
people are
movies.
expecting
That's what they're looking for.
Which technically isn't even AI. It's just a very advanced user interface program, because in Avengers 2, that's what Ultron was supposed to be. Ultron was AI, and so
Yeah.
I think, and if ever there was a warning against AI, it'd probably be that movie.
Yeah. You guys watch the Avengers: Age of Ultron?
I mean,
Come on.
I know a lot of people I know a
wake
lot
up.
of people like kind of dump on it, but it's actually a really good movie. Yeah,
It's a great movie.
And I think
I really liked it.
What was it? The first Avengers, kind of got dumped on because of the, I guess, the lack of cinematic, or not, because what is it, like, one of the big things was like the lighting. Everything was like so even and like uninteresting and like and flat.
That is true about that's one
criticism
knock on it.
But then, in Age of Ultron, they went like very dynamic. They went very like comic book lighting, with like like the different colors, like the magentas and the greens and the blues. But for whatever reason, people were dumping on that movie too. But it's just like, I enjoyed both those movies. Do they have their points of?
The story was not
the story was not the problem, but neither was technically the technical stuff either. I mean, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it's just I just see it as something that it's a great idea, and if it's used correctly, if it's used for good things, I'm obviously, if there's something where you have to do a whole bunch of calculations that need to be done, a bunch of equations that need to be done quickly, that can be something useful. Like, especially if you're using it to advance like research on something, it can run through a bunch of different scenarios in a quick amount of time. And whereas, like, that if that was a person doing it, yeah, it would have obviously extended that amount of time that would take to make that happen. But that's not real. I don't really see of all the uses that I see about this, it's not for that stuff. It's for something horrifying.
Yeah, or trivial, or yeah, just things of not
Or
yeah,
very
just
trivial,
things of not of very much importance.
or like it's sexual in nature, which has also been
Yeah,
happening, which we talked about a couple weeks ago with like Her,
right.
the movie Her, and the rise of the AI porn bots and stuff. And it's just like, that's also just sad and
Yeah,
horrifying.
and not that I think that's it.
The movie Her
Yeah,
is
that's what I'm saying.
depressing.
It's so freaking depressing. And hence why my kind of middling rating of it. I'm not to say that it wasn't like a good movie. It was I mean, I don't know if I want to call it a good movie, but it was an interesting movie. But it was depressing as all get out. All right.
I think that they captured the depressing nature, the dystopian, depressing nature of a very potential reality that's coming through. And that's why, like, I rated it much higher than you, because I was like, yeah, this is a fucked up movie. And it's all in bright colors too. It's just
Yeah.
one of the saddest
Right.
movies I've ever watched.
That's probably what make my brain like kind of break, or like kind of. I think I recognize the dissidence of that movie, where it's like it's like they're talking about this. It's like it's a really sad movie, but then there's like all these like warm and kind of bright-ish colors, um, and so it's kind of giving off this like false, uh, so yeah, false
False
hope,
hope.
false euphoria.
Yeah, because there's like these false happy moments that
Yeah,
it
I mean, just like
creates.
that scene when like when Joaquin Phoenix character like goes away, with his girlfriend, and he in the and he goes up, he goes to the mountaintop, and he's like spinning his arm around, and he has like his AI girlfriend in his pocket, and then like they're back at the cabin, and he's just like dancing around. But it's like it's him dancing around by himself, like literally, because there's no other person in the
Yeah,
room, but it's just like this false sense of happiness, like he's like, but he's by himself. Like, I'm not saying that you can't be happy by yourself. You can't like be that level of happy by yourself, but just like if you completely, if
yeah.
you're just an outside observer, it's like this guy's just dancing around by himself.
The guy was so lame and depressing that his
Yeah,
computer left
right.
him.
Or that she started seeing what was it, 8 other guys or 8 other people?
No, it was like
Oh yeah,
8,000
8,000
people.
people.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I'd say Joaquin Phoenix is a great actor because he smoked that part.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think anyone else could have played
no,
the part.
yeah, yeah, I couldn't.
That fucking mustache too.
I
My
know, it's just
God.
like, you know what? I just realized it's so funny because his ex-wife, she was the only one who was never in
Hmm.
bright colors.
No.
So in a sense, she was she was his cold reality. Like she was the voice of reason. in that movie.
Yeah, and that's because he was always like trying to be bright and optimistic, and he was a dreamer. And she's like, no, that is not real. This is the reality that we have to deal with. It's unpleasant, but we have to deal with it. Even like when they like just as they were having this like kind of pleasant moment before they signed their divorce papers, and like maybe she was saying like maybe we don't need to do that. And then it's they started talking about, oh, have you been seeing anybody? It's like, and she's like, you're seeing your fucking computer? Are you serious? What's wrong with you? That's the only person that ever told him that I think what you're doing is stupid, which it
Right. She
is.
was the only one that was like straight up with him. Like no one else. Everyone else
Yeah,
kind of fed into the delusion. Say, oh yeah, like what was it? Chris Pratt's character. It's like, oh yeah, it's like when he kind of hesitantly, confessed like, oh yeah, my girlfriend Samantha, she's in OS, and he's like, oh yeah, cool, yeah, we should totally get together, go to Catalina. Just like, what? Okay.
yeah. It's like the more I think about that film, it's like it is. There's a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, and partially why it was so confusing to me because like, when you see like maybe like a couple years pass by, again because there's no great indicators of time passing that it feels like it's happening only within like a couple of months or at 6 months at the most.
Yeah, that feels like it would be like kind of psychopathic, like for his character because his I mean it's a definite possibility with the character where he has these very crazy mood swings where he's maybe he's somewhat bipolar where he's like his highs are super high and then he just dives into the
Mm.
fucking valley
Dude, what if this was
and
like a
can't get
metaphor
out of
for
his depression.
bipolarism?
Could be.
Yeah.
There's a lot there. There you can go in a lot of different directions with that, and kind of go with different theories.
Yeah.
In that sense, it makes me want to it's not one I'm gonna like jump on like fuck yeah I gotta watch
Mm.
her, yeah, woo. That's not, but it is a movie that I will revisit just because I think that there's more to the story that we had to
Yeah,
pick
for sure.
apart.
But yeah, you're right. There doesn't really seem to be. I want to be fair. Too many positive applications for AI.
At least not in the way they're being
Right.
used right now.
Current
No,
iteration, there aren't too many positive applications for AI.
no.
What is it? I know.
Speaking,
Uh, just really quickly, I know we talked. I referenced this last week, but the content creator Dave Cullen on YouTube, he also goes by the moniker
mm,
computing forever, I believe. Anyways, he talked about AI and how like through like a few short prompts you could actually do like you could actually create like videos like with like almost movie studio quality. But he mentioned that
hmm
as soon as the first fully AI generated movie comes out, that'll be like the end of practically be the end of uh, of cinema as we know it.
Oh yeah.
Because everything, I mean, especially
Well, I mean, it's
now
like
when
it's
everything is supposed to, everyone is so uh, transfixed with the experience or kind of like the record setting. It's like, oh, the first this or the first all black cast or the first all transgender writing group or such and such and such. Um, but once the fully fully rendered AI movie comes out, then that's gonna be it.
It's where like the Simone movie, that's also like it back then it was probably like, oh, this is never gonna happen. That's crazy. But now that movie seems to be way more realistic than it ever has been.
Right? Yeah, it's
because there is potential that you essentially are going to eliminate actual people, and then you you mainly have one guy that is creating something. You can create whatever, and when you can fool the public into believing it's real,
right.
that's when you got them. I don't know if we'll get. I don't know when or. God, I hope not if, but like I don't know if it or when, but like I hope that doesn't happen, because there is still like a little bit of that uncanny valley where you can kind of tell that
Right.
it's not real. Um, it's just like, no, that's not a real picture.
Yeah, yeah. Or there's like a super stylized sort of like aesthetic to it that it's like that you
Mhm.
automatically know that it's not a image. The one thing about Simone, yeah, I mean, nowadays it's almost as though like Simone was like prophetic. But in the one detail that it was wrong is um, the I think even if you can make a fully fake person, I think like if you're gonna incorporate it with actual actors, you have to have some sort of reference point. So like at the end when Simone is and it's shown that it's just a green screen stage and there's nobody there. I think that's the only lie in that scene, because even if it is by himself, like he still needs something to respond to. So like him like grabbing his fake baby's thigh, like he wouldn't know
Right.
where
Like
to grab. He would just be kind of like grabbing anywhere. Like he could. What if he had like grabbed too high and it looked like he was like honking Simone's breasts?
that's where like you would almost have to have it where his ex-wife and his daughter would be in green suits with
Right,
like
and like
tennis
and yeah,
balls or something like that.
and like a spray painted baby doll. Yeah. And see,
Yeah,
and that's
something
where it
along.
gets. I think that's, I think the only, not the only, but I think one of the areas that they could have improved on is if, they got the entire family wrapped up within the lie, and so like you had Catherine Keener's character in like a green suit with a fake baby, and then at the end, like when at the end of that segment that they did, she pulls out the things like, I think we tricked them, or something to that effect.
Yeah, that's where like because because they were behind the camera, like with the way it ended, you're thinking like they because it seemed like, oh, they did this to protect him and like they wanted to be a family again. Yet it feels like they didn't. They're not doing
Yeah,
that. They
exploiting him.
are essentially putting him back in the prison. And he's stuck in this life forever, and there's no ever escaping it. And they're almost taking pleasure out of what they're seeing.
Yeah, and I think also the scene where he's shooting content in the market. I think that
Gross.
I think that's
Yeah.
also a little unbelievable because of, especially because at the time, I think at the time of this movie, like it was like kind of like the reemergence of like the celebrity culture, and so people
Yeah.
who ordinary people would have saw him doing this, doing like pushing the
Yeah.
cart,
Unless it
like
was a
filming that, and then like getting the different angles or what have you, and like someone would have seen him doing that stuff. Um,
unless that was a
no,
set.
no, no, no. Because again, I don't think they were thinking too far ahead. and understood the realities, of things. But it's like if he did it in the wild with no controls, then that would have been dangerous for him to do so. And I mean, there's no indication that it was a set. So we have to like, and again, folks, we're talking about the end credit scene of Simone. But yeah, since there's no indications that that's a closed off set and like he has like total control, we have to work under the assumption that he was doing this out in the wild.
Yeah, man,
Yeah, and so
it's
that and
crazy.
like and that kind of lack of control could have exposed them uh, as fraudsters.
Yeah,
'Cause even if he did it like late at night,
but
with like no like the store being like half empty, it's like half empty also means half full. So because you still have
yep,
employees, your late night shoppers, like hell, even the store security cameras. You just.
yeah, you're right.
But again, that's just kind of me thinking too far in about this movie. Um, and,
Yeah,
and just kind of like pointing out the
the
flaws, but I still think it was a really good. I still enjoy the movie. I still think that it was very prophetic.
oh yeah,
So
but speaking of the laziness that AI creates, why don't we talk about the Gemini program that
right.
Google put out?
For those of you who don't know, Google just this past week announced or launched their
I think they
yeah they
launched it.
launched
Yeah,
their image generating AI called Gemini. And users were starting to, find some pretty peculiar things, when they were using it. Um, chief being among them is that Gemini would not generate white people, and I don't mean it didn't do it well, or it's like like the old school, the old generation AI where it's like messed up on the hands and gave him like 11 fingers. It quite literally wouldn't render white people. When you in the prompt you say, "Oh, show me a white
yeah,
family," and then it spring up a pre-generated message about how it can't be biased and show preferential preference to one race over another. But then when you asked it to but then when people started probing a little bit more and asked, "Oh, show me an American family," it would generate either an all black family or or interracial couple, with interracial kids. And guess what? It was always
yeah,
white woman with black man.
yeah. It's so you have to. Uh, these things are also this is a creation of somebody with a bias, and the person who did was, I think, like the head
Yeah, he was the lead
creator
programmer.
on this program. Yeah, he is a known person who says white privilege is a thing. We need to get rid of it. And it's like we need to just pretty much everything that we make fun of here on this channel.
Really quick, and anybody want to guess
This guy
what
believed in.
race this guy was? Anybody? Class? Anybody? Show of hands. Bueller.
Bueller.
And guess what race he was? He was a white man.
Oh no, he was. He's a self-hating white man.
So sad.
Oh my god, I've never heard
Right?
of
It's such
such
a
a
rarity
thing.
these days. With all the white privilege around, who'd want to give up? Who'd want to give up that?
Yeah, they made him head
I
programmer.
know, unthinkable.
I think that's a little racist. I think he should have
I know,
given up
right?
his
For a
job
qualified,
for
strong, black woman.
yeah. Jesus. But yeah, like I said, so clearly there's a bias
Mm-hmm.
there. And when people are testing this stuff out, and they're gonna try to find the things that are fucked up about it. And when you're typing in like 18th century German woman, and she comes out black,
Or my favorite one,
it's like,
Viking, and it spit out
yeah,
a
Viking.
black man and a black woman in Viking garb.
It's like an 11th century European. Yeah, sorry. There's not no black Vikings. It's not that. It's just not a thing.
I know, and then people would be like, "Oh, what about that movie with Antonio Banderas? Where he played, the
That is a true story, but he was not a black man. He was an Arab.
right."
The
Right,
Volga
but at this
Vikings.
point, it's like, was he from Africa?
Yes, okay, technically, but he's not. He did not have black fucking skin. The actual person that lived was not a black skinned man.
I know, but people are gonna. I promise you, people are gonna reference that. It's like, well, what about that
Oh,
movie?
it's funny because we have an upcoming review of that movie, The 13th Warrior. That's on Cinemigos. We have an upcoming review of
Nice.
that.
Oh, I saw that really good.
Yeah.
Dude, we should do a fish out of water month.
Ooh, oh, I'm gonna write that down. That's good. We'll
I
come up.
already have like at least 3 ideas.
Oh, dude, it's okay. I'm gonna put. You send me that list
Okay.
after we're done. But fish out of water month.
Yeah, and it'll be movies about like a fish out of water. So one guy who goes to a different culture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are always fun. But yeah, it just this is another thing. Why would you put something out like this? I don't understand the point. I mean, it's to be honest, the technology is kind of interesting that you're able to do that. But is it that they're thinking that at some point they will make pictures that look real enough that
Right. So what?
people just like
Right. So when you
believe it?
do say, "Oh, uh, give me a picture of Mark Twain," and it'll generate it, and it'll spit it out. It'll spit a cyanide, no, not cyanide, a sepia toned like photo, like kind of like black and white, but it's like kind of with the brown tinge. That's what sepia is. A sepia toned photo of a black man dressed like Mark Twain,
Mark
but
Twain.
then the image will look so much like as if it was taken back in like the 1800s. People were gonna believe that Mark Twain was a black man.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So the danger of like the rewriting of history and the ahistoricity of this technology is quite dangerous. Because
Yeah,
again, like because
because I have a feeling that there is going to come a generation that is going to they're not going to know anything other than what is, if not
right,
stopped in some way. That is
yeah. I
what's
mean,
going to happen.
despite our criticisms of the educational system, particularly contemporarily, I would dare say that we're pretty well educated. People of our generation, and so,
Yeah,
but
compared
yeah,
to like the kids
the ones
today,
coming
hell yeah.
after us, way after us, they're in trouble because they're gonna have these radical
Good
teachers.
Lord.
Before it was just it was a slow infiltration. They started off in the in the universities, and slowly they started trickling in. These radicals started slowly trickling into the public education system. And I mean, now you have, I mean, again, uh, James O'Keefe's old outfit, Project Veritas. how many scores of these radical teachers did they expose? Trying to indoctrinate, other people's kids into becoming freaking communists.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a lot, a
a
lot, a
lot of
lot,
them.
a lot. And but yeah, like I said, it started with the university system, and you radicalize. It starts with one guy, and you radicalize 5 people, and then those 5 people go in. They become teachers themselves, and then it's like now they're getting like 5 people. It's this constant pay it forward of shittiness, and and it took them decades to do that, and now look at where we're at.
Right.
And you maybe there's a way to reverse this, but to be honest, public school has got to go. We have got to stop spending money on on public school. It's like,
Or at,
well, our scores are going down. It's like, well, we need more money. To who are this? Okay, well, we'll throw more money at the problem. It's like, well, that's not really helping. That's actually making things worse,
yeah, and I mean,
because now you're paying for the dean of like the assistant dean to the dean of the
of the
dean.
provost
Yeah,
of the
it's like,
college, and it's like, what the fuck?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like, what is that? What do you do? It's like, well, I sit here
Sit there at this desk,
and
and
I act like a
yeah,
pretentious dickbag that says that white people are racist.
right. But I
And
mean,
if there's anyone that disagrees
I'm
with me,
yeah, and I'm a little more tempered with my expectations. Like, if I mean, Trump kind of made this an issue for him, going to this next election. But he talked about how we should do away with the Department of Education. And I'm if we're gonna start anywhere,
I'm
if we're gonna start
1000% for
anywhere,
that.
let's start from there. Uh, the federal
There
Department of
doesn't need to be a
Education.
federal Department
Yeah,
of
there
Education.
shouldn't be. There,
Afuera!
but so if we're gonna start anywhere, let's start with there. Let's get rid of the federalized Department of Education.
What's going to happen to all those administrators, though, Andy? Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
you're
well,
cruel.
tough titties. Learn to code. Right? When
That would
they're
save
telling
us like,
coal miners, like, oh, just learn to code. Tough titties.
yeah,
Fuck you.
fuck you.
Do the same. Learn to code. Just learn to code. Like, it's hard.
It's not hard. You can make
Right?
your own AI.
Just learn to code. Duh.
Make your AI sex bot.
Right? Then you'll
You'll be
become a
fine.
millionaire.
Yeah. Your Mabel sex bot. Because I imagine like some of these people are probably called like Mabel, or some weird
Old-timey
old
name.
ass
Yeah.
name. Old timey names, yeah.
No, Gertrude.
Gertrude is an
Yeah.
old timey name. Who do you know today that's
I only
named
know
Gertrude?
one woman.
How old is she?
She's slightly older than I am.
Slightly older? Like, are we talking like 50?
No, let's say she's at least 5 to 6 years older than me.
Wow, that is a young person with a very old name. That's actually very unusual. She probably got picked on a lot in school. Ew, Gertrude, you're gross.
Is it even Gertrude? I don't know. For the sake of this bit, I'll just say yes. So now I'm thinking about, like, is it Gertrude? But for the sake of the bit,
man.
for the sake of the bit, yes, we'll call her Gertrude.
Yeah, she's a real person that totally exists.
Yeah, exactly.
That Andy knows. she's from out of town. You don't know her.
Actually, that might explain it. She's from she's a Latin lady.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes a little bit more
sense.
sense,
So
actually.
if it actually is Gertrude, I'm trying to look at her right now. Just so I'm not,
we'll go with that. Yeah.
For the sake of the bit, we'll go with it. it may not be actually, but for the bit, it is.
But the one thing that I do love though is just the lambasting that these
Oh, my
guys
bad.
from Google got over this.
Yeah. As soon as yeah, because like the freaking the New York Post put out the AI generated image of George Washington, a black George Washington, on its front page,
Oh, there's a twist.
right? And then
Yeah, George Washington was actually black, and he had
yeah, right
white
there you go.
slaves. Whoa! Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Take
then it
that,
showed other
America.
examples like if you said, oh, uh, depict a pope, and then it spit out like a black woman and a East not an East Asian, but a Southeast Asian woman, Southeast Asian woman.
You know that. That's right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I heard that. You know, I have a suspicion, and I know like they claim up and down that no, this is not how this commercial was done, but that stupid ass like woke Jesus
Mm-hmm.
Super Bowl commercial. How much did that look like some sort of AI generated
I
thing?
understand the tendency to believe that was AI generated, and part of me does part of me is inclined to believe that. But being a photographer, I do know how to make my photos look like that. So I know that it is possible through through post editing how you can make photos look like that. But a part of me wants to be like,
You know,
yeah, that was AI generated.
see, here's the thing though. What you're talking about, that takes a lot of work and effort. These
Right? They're
people don't
lazy.
want to
They're
do that,
lazy assholes. I
Andy.
get it.
Yeah. It's just it's so
Yeah.
it's so bad. And yeah, it's just like and because of all that lambasting and putting the spotlight on how like what the fuck are you guys, what are you doing? And that's just like, oh well, we've made corrections on it. Like we're sorry if anybody was offended. It's like, shut
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
You knew
Right. I
exactly what
mean,
you were doing.
because some
You
people
didn't
did
think
a
they
deep dive on this guy's. I mean, we kind of alluded to it in the beginning, but some people went, on a deep dive into this guy's Twitter, and like, yeah, all it was is, a self-hating white guy. Say, oh, we need to end white privilege and smash the patriarchy, and hashtag believe women and Black Lives Matters. It was like
Oh
it was
my
all of that stuff.
God, he sounds like he's a walking fucking
Yeah, pretty
platitude.
much. And so yeah, so people because I know a lot of people were freaked out about AI, and or like at least fearful. I remember when like the whole like singularity was a thing, like consciousness, of artificial intelligence.
Yeah. No, that's not what's happening. We're not there yet because that's a whole
But
because I have heard like AI
but let me
is
finish. Let
not
me finish my
not
thought.
that.
But and I told people, it's like, yeah, I'm not worried about that. And that, some people who are more inclined, to freak out about it is like, oh, how could you not be? It's like, because humanity is flawed and stupid. It's like the artificial intelligence will only be as smart as the person who programs it. So like if it, I mean,
Yeah.
like the only reason that we're able to be alive, that we are able to have consciousness, is because we are given it by our creator. Like we don't know the secret. We don't know what's in the secret sauce, so we can't give it to anybody else. Like we yes, we can
Yeah.
self-replicate, but that's something that was built into us by our creator. Therefore, like we cannot give
Right.
consciousness to something that we don't ourselves understand it to be. And so like at least in that in so at least
That
in
is
that
true.
sense, like I'll never worry about the singularity. I'll never worry about Skynet, taking control and or becoming self-aware and things like that. But yeah, but to your point about like yeah, but the AI that we're talking about is like this kind of like more retarded AI that uh, that'll that isn't as advanced, but it's still very powerful to do certain things.
Yeah, it's it's not going to come alive and like become like a killing machine like we see in like the Terminator or in like our movie that we have that we're going to be talking about
Yeah,
tonight.
but again,
But
this person, the person who made this AI, inputted their biases. Therefore, it was a fucking it was a
yeah,
fucking stupid. It was a
it's broken
exactly.
just
It was
like them.
broken just like them.
And so and that's what you're seeing across the board with this stuff of you're seeing humanity's flaws that operate within these things, these whatever the AI is being used. If they have nefarious intentions, that AI has nefarious intentions. It's looking for certain information, or it's looking for something that can be used against whoever it's searching for. In this
Exactly. It's
case,
fractal.
with the Gemini thing, it's about like, well, white people are horrible, and so we have to eliminate them from all of history,
Right.
and we have to
It's a
like
fractal thing.
we have to elevate.
Because the
Yeah.
programmer believes it personally in the macro, he then has to put it into his programming to make it macro and put it out everywhere.
Yep.
And it is ironic that if you ask like, oh, to pick for me a white family, or show me a white family, and it automatically gives you a freaking lecture about like, oh, I can't favor one race or group over another, and blah blah blah, because Black Lives Matter, and because hashtag believe all women, and we're hashtag we're on stolen land, that bullshit. But
Oh
then,
my God!
but then they
Shut up.
go about,
Yeah.
and then the programmer then does this, causes the program to do ahistoric things, or goes about start perpetuating historicity. So that's why you got like black George Washington, or a black founding father, or a black Viking, or Southeast Asian Pope, or hilariously enough, if you ask the AI to depict a family eating fried chicken, the family is white.
Uh, oh, can't do
So
that.
yeah. Heavens forbid if you depict a black family eating fried chicken.
Wasn't there a bit that Dave Chappelle did where it's like on one of his stand-up specials, like it's like it's like out in the wild, it's like, wow, they actually do eat
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. It's
It's like this like a
or it
magical
goes to
thing.
a restaurant, and it's like I'll have and the waiter's like the chicken.
It's like, how did
Come
you
on,
know that?
buddy. Come
Yes, it's
on,
fucking
buddy.
delicious.
It's like everyone knew the moment you walked in here that
Yeah.
you were gonna get the fried chicken. It's like, because
like,
stereotypes exist. Okay, we're not saying that they're good or bad.
Yes.
We're just saying that they exist, and they exist for a reason.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Chicken is delicious, and black people like chicken.
And Jews love a good deal.
Works for me.
It just is.
And white people
Right?
dance
White, yeah,
poorly.
exactly. Yeah, when white people have no rhythm. All right.
That's that, dude. It's funny if you ever watch some like especially like old timey dances from back in movies, like in the 50s, 60s, even going back into like the 30s or 40s. God damn, like the fucking dancing is terrible. Like in It's a Wonderful Life, when they're doing like the Charleston and stuff like that, none of those people can fucking dance. The Charleston is a terrible dance. It's horrible. They have no fucking rhythm.
Or is it just rhythm of a different sort?
If waving your hands around wildly and just, I nah, it's no rhythm.
I just
Sorry.
count it as a different system. White men dancing is a
Maybe.
different system than black man dancing than that is versus like Hispanic dance system dancing than it is Asian system dancing. It's just a different system.
That is true. But yeah, like I said, stereotypes exist. They're not. The majority of them are not bad.
They just are. They're not necessarily good. They're not necessarily bad. They just are. They just are.
Yeah.
That should be a T-shirt. They just are. They just are.
They just are. But yeah, should we dive into the movie?
Let's get into our movie review. I mean, if you have nothing
Speaking
else to
of horrible. No, I don't have anything else to add. I was like, speaking of terrifying robot monsters, why don't we talk about our movie?
All right. Let me hit everyone with a synopsis and we'll get going. Yeah, tonight, just to remind you out, tonight the movie is I Am Mother from 2019. I think it was a Netflix release.
It is a Netflix release, yeah.
Starring Hilary Swank and the voice of it's a very small cast, not too many people, but yeah, the Hilary Swank and the voice of Rose Byrne. Here, let me. Whoops. Get everyone with the synopsis. All right. Humanity is on the brink of extinction, but a robot raises a girl on a remote base to give humans a second chance. However, the arrival of another human leads to doubt for the girl and everything she believes in. This movie was directed by Grant Sputor.
Sputor? Yeah, I've never heard of him.
Yeah, released interestingly just released about 2 months before lockdowns.
Yeah, that's right. It did come out like right before all that took place. Was this your first time watching it, Andy?
Pre-programming, because the girl was essentially locked down in that base.
I know, right?
It's all conspiracy, man. They're telling you it was going to happen before it happened. I mean, I kind of believe that to be true, but that's beside the point.
I know you do.
That's beside the point. This is my first time watching. I know you showed me a trailer for it a while back.
Yeah, because I think we were looking for something that you had come over. We were looking for something to watch. I was like, what do you think about watching this? And you're like, yeah, I don't want to watch that right now. I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why I didn't want to watch it then, but
I think I think we were on a kick of another sort, and it was just, I was like, it's such a. That's what it was.
Yeah.
We
might have been
I kind of want something more
on a comedy kick, but then and then this one looked like too serious.
Sort of like completely fuck that up. Yeah, exactly. It's something along those lines. Sure.
Yeah, but this is my first time watching it. I had no expectations going into it really, and even though I saw the trailer and I kind of got what the tone was going to be like. But yeah, this I genuinely enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, one thing that I like is we don't see whatever the event was. It's we don't know what caused whatever the reduction in humanity. We don't know if it was the robots that did it. We don't know
who struck first.
If humanity. Yeah, we don't know. And to be honest, I'm glad that we don't get that answer. And in a lot of ways, it seems we're isolated in this bunker that has everything that you can think of. Where these supplies came from, I have no idea. All the medical supplies, all the food, all that, like, who knows where it came from, and why they have all of these embryos that are like that are frozen waiting to be born. And the idea that you can take one of those things and put it in this fake test tube womb and have it. Now, it seems like the thing that they were putting those in, the babies gestated quicker than 9 months, it seemed like. It seems like they
Right. Well, I
processed
mean,
quicker.
if they were already in embryo stage,
Because the boy that was chosen to be born, he seemed like he was born like very quickly.
right? Yeah, it might have been, a process that I mean, maybe that the process that they are able to come up with that allowed the gestational period to be accelerated.
Oh, and I'm wondering then, essentially, where with them all being kind of frozen and with the process being so quick, you could essentially repopulate the Earth very quickly
Yes.
that way. Because there was told there was like 63,000
Right,
embryos
because
in there.
you see the initial
Is that what
batch that the robot uses to grow and and raise the girl, but then you also see like the larger storage facility. It's just like rows upon rows upon rows of frozen embryos.
Yeah, so you have that. Our main character essentially gets picked out, or what we think. Now here, that's the other thing, is like we think it's the main character that's being picked out. We just see like a
Yeah, we see
little
a
girl, little
montage of like
baby that's growing
we
up.
see a newborn to then like a toddler to then like to no like a newborn to an infant to a newborn to a toddler to a young girl to to an
To a
adolescent girl
like
in pretty quick succession
yeah,
through montage, of course. And we're led to believe that that these are all the same girl. Um, but
yeah,
at the end
and
we find out that that's not the case, or not necessarily the case.
yeah, and there's always these there's all these tests that the girl has to go through,
Yeah,
as far as
and also like these enrichment things, like the robot teaches this girl ballet, and you know
yeah. And I like that she's watching the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
how
It's,
yeah, they
it's
may
like,
be unfeeling robots, but at least they have taste.
yeah, it's like, hey, well, at least we're not watching like
Yeah,
the
the Jimmy
current
Fallon one.
version
Yeah,
of
the
the
Jimmy
Tonight
Fallon
Show.
one.
It's like, oh my
Uh,
god, it's fucking gagging me with the spoon. At least it's the
yeah,
good
the good
version.
Tonight Show.
The yeah, but yeah, I am so like, I don't know what to think about what all the because obviously you have to learn as you're growing up, and clearly that she's learning about all things, the how to deal with things medically. She's learning his well or a limited amount of history, yeah, kind of. So I guess getting some sort of interaction with the arts, with like the origami and all
Right.
that stuff. So there's a whole bunch of different stuff that they're doing, but then she has these tests that she has to meet, and we don't know what those tests are up until kind of the end, right? Where she's
Right, where
doing
she's like she keeps like
um
records.
how do you feel about this? Yeah, it's like it's almost like a personality test that's her exam is a personality test. Do you feel sad when you do this? How does this make you feel about such and such? And it kind of it felt a little bit like the replicant test
Oh
in
yeah,
Blade
yeah,
Runner. It's
yeah.
like, what the fuck does this do?
Right. I mean, I hate to use this, but it didn't. Yeah, it wasn't. At least the last test didn't seem to be measuring her intellect more as it was more trying to register her capacity for empathy and like, and I hate to use this term, but emotional intelligence.
Do you okay? So here it's so this robot is mothering these children, and if it- to I'm wondering if the test is to make sure that the humans remain human and they don't act like a robot like mother is,
Right.
and there is a failure from some of those early babies because the robot is still learning too.
Right.
uh, so I'm wondering if with her failures and of not being able to mother them properly, that is why that those children are aborted.
Yeah, with extreme prejudice.
Because you don't want, because I it seems like, to be honest, I don't think that the mother robot is bad in this. At least that's not. I don't know if you got that feeling.
No, I didn't. I didn't get the sense that she was hiding some malevolent intention. No.
No, it was more felt. It felt like she was
Mhm.
protecting, and similar to, because obviously she's a created
Mhm.
being in a sense. Her programming is like she is to be a mother, and there's even that interaction with her and the girl when it's like where mother tells a joke. It's like, that was a joke, honey. It's like, now you're getting
Mhm.
better at that. So clearly there is like a little bit of that too. The robot is learning and has made a lot of
Mhm.
past mistakes among these many, 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 and we don't know how long that period of time has been. Has this been years and
Right.
years
But
and
we
years,
but we
or has this been for the
yeah,
course of
but
months?
what we can deduce there, or what we do know for sure, there was nine predecessors or eight predecessors because she was
Mm.
actually what was it, XY number nine. So there are
Right.
eight
So
predecessors before her.
maybe, and we don't know how long those
Mhm.
kids lasted. So you're probably looking at maybe
Well, it looks. Well, at least
10 years
one of the
before 9.
photos, it did look like a small child, like within 4 to 7 range.
Okay. So yeah, we don't know necessarily how long
Right.
it
Because
was,
beyond
but
because for the sake of our for the sake of um, if we acknowledge that the gestational period is accelerated, but not necessarily the growth period, then we could say like yeah they might from embryo to being born was only a month or 2 months for gestation, but they age normally
yeah,
otherwise.
after that, yeah, it's because yeah. So here's what I'm thinking too, as we're
Mhm.
talking about this. Maybe it's there. Whatever the event was, it was due to humanity's cruelty towards itself, like uh, towards itself, and but someone created a program to help and stored a bunch of these embryos in a bunker, and essentially this program was to help reteach humanity how to be empathetic, sympathetic, like real humans, and essentially making this maybe like a giant Noah's Ark in a sense, like a version of Noah's Ark, and it's trying to reset humanity to and
So do you think that there were
and
animal
the
embryos in that cold storage?
yeah, it seems like there's a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's very
Possibility.
possible.
Okay. I mean,
Um,
but do you think it was really? But do you think? But
yeah,
look,
and
do
so
you think that it was humans killing humans and not like, you know, machines rising up, sort of thing?
if we go based off of, because we find out at the end that
Uh,
the mother, she is like, they are
yeah.
all this
Right.
kind of
They're
hive
all mother.
mind
They're all
entity. It's
mother.
all mother. Yeah, so I have a feel and I don't think that mother is has any ill intention. And so I think it was humanity killing off humanity. And there was some scientist or whoever is like who created this mother program, and was trying to say, essentially created this place to save humanity.
Possibly. Okay. I'm willing
That
to
is my
go. I'm
thinking,
willing to
because
go with your hypothesis until, you know, more information comes up or more information is realized. So
right.
I'll go with your hypothesis.
So, yeah, I mean, yes. So I think that the idea of like the the former embryos that were killed off, that were aborted, is because they were too cold and too robotic, and they were not what humanity was supposed to be. And it's like, so the mother program failed, so we're aborting this experiment. Oh, that experiment failed. And it wasn't until number 9 where it passed.
I mean, just
What I think the other
beyond
thing that
the like the humanity part, I do think that there was an intellectual component necessary.
I mean, that's also true. And but like the robot can only teach you so much,
Right,
because
but
clearly there is a
if the
record of
embryos were created with, without any sort of biases for for shorthand we'll call it perfections, um,
Mhm.
then perhaps, and the embryos that were created indiscriminately, then perhaps, I mean, I don't want to, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to say may sound offensive, but I swear it's in the best. I'm trying to make this non as least offensive as possible. But perhaps, like, because of undesirable genetic traits, they weren't necessarily able to rise to the intellectual quota.
Oh, that's also a
Yeah,
possibility too. Yeah, that's that.
yeah. Because if we're under the yeah, because
Yeah, that's
we're
a
and that's only if we're assuming that these embryos were created indiscriminately and without selection biases.
yeah, that's a good question.
Because again, it wasn't just like, yeah, because we see when she's older, she's given more like philosophical questions, kind of like, like the streetcar conundrum.
Yep. Yeah, that's
But
that's one of the
that's after she's at least become an adolescent, like,
right.
where she can handle that
And
sort of
she is
moral
she
conundrum.
yeah, and she is able to she has an archive of actual human interaction, although obviously she's seeing it from um a distant point of view, with like having the Tonight Show, which is it's essentially a person interacting with other
Right. I mean,
people.
to the varying degree that some of those interactions are scripted, they are more or less genuine interactions.
Right, exactly. So, because you do need that, one, because there's no one else for her to interact with other than Mother, and Mother is not although incredibly smart, is not a human, and so you kind of need to see what actual human interaction looks like. I just think it's funny that they chose the Johnny Carson Tonight Show. That's definitely a choice. I'm really curious, like why was that the choice that they went with
Right.
for
Well,
the
I
movie?
mean, and why wasn't why wasn't it the Oprah Winfrey show or some daytime talk show like Sally Jesse? Well, I mean, it does kind of devolve into into like
Well, I think there is a level of intelligence that you see on Johnny Carson's The
okay,
Tonight Show, because one,
yeah,
he was a smart guy, and even the celebrities and people he brought on were also pretty
yeah,
intelligent. And the guy brought on like guys like Carl Sagan like 100,000
mm-hmm.
times too. So maybe there's some reasoning behind that as to why they chose it.
Maybe, yeah,
Um, and despite his political inclinations, the Johnny Carson Tonight Show was a neutral show. It was not a political show in any way, hardly. Or at least it was fair to both sides. So you're not getting necessarily a super biased
mm-hmm.
interaction.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that's probably, I have a feeling that's why they chose that for this character to
Right.
interact with. Maybe because humanity had been fighting itself based off of whatever differences, and so they're trying to like kind of reset
Right.
things and make it more.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Uh,
willing to adopt your hypothesis more, particularly after what we learned from the Hilary Swank character's experience of her living with humanity and then basically scratching each other's eyes out for resources and such.
yeah, yeah. That's the other, like, obviously, like, that creates a lot of tension in the story, because now this new character gets introduced, that because we're told that no one can
Right.
live
Yeah, because
outside the bunker, yet all of a sudden we
Mother
meet.
makes assertions that that the outside of the bunker is contaminated like by some biologic or some chemical thing. And the outside is basically a wasteland. But then one night you hear well, the character is referenced as daughter. So daughter hears
Yeah,
some noises from from outside of the airlock, um, and then she brings in Hillary Swank's character.
yeah.
You know,
Hey, just like 2020, it's like, oh yeah, there's this thing that's outside, it'll kill you, it's a
yeah.
wasteland out there. It's like, and then people are like,
No, there wasn't. We're
no,
fine. We're
we're
good.
fine. Where do you hear that from?
Right. I mean, not to derail it too much, but I mean, all these people coming out now and just like, in particular, like there's like that clip of Dr. Phil that's going around about he was on The View and he's like saying like how locking down and keeping kids out of school was a bad idea. And it's like, oh yeah, well it's like just 4 years
Oh, you
too
think?
late. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah,
jumping on
no,
the
like
bandwagon.
people. I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back too hard here, but we're the ones. People like us, we're the ones. Trying to keep calm and be like, hey, it's not that bad. Uh, the science or the science, not TM, was showing that it wasn't the young people who were uh, dis disadversely affected by this. but
Yeah,
we're just
exactly.
called
It's
crazies, and like we wanted to kill grandma. Anyways.
Yeah, now when it's fashionable to like shit on this stuff, now you're getting to see all the people like, oh yeah, it's really bad that
Right.
this happened. It's like, shut the fuck up, man.
It's like oh, I'm not saying that people didn't die, but people who were affected by it were not the young people. It's like again, John
It's like,
McClane, welcome to
fuck
the
you,
party,
but
pal.
yeah, you're like
Yeah.
5 years too
But
late,
anyways,
buddy.
it's a little bit. I digress. But yeah, but she, yeah, so daughter brings in Hilary Swank's character, and Hilary Swank's character is,
Well, and that's the other thing too, is because the daughter is at a dilemma because she has been taught about empathy and caring for people, and what do you do in the case of like if someone is hurt, like do
oh
you
right, yeah,
care, what do
because
you do? And
the dilemma that mother gives her wasn't verbatim the streetcar dilemma, but it was a dilemma of like, uh, you say you're a doctor and you had three patients or four patients, and they all had ailments
or
ailments that
ailments,
yeah, yeah,
they
it was like
needed
organ
organs.
transplants, and the doctor was compatible with the patients. It's like, is it the doctor's duty to then sacrifice themselves to then donate their organs to said patients? Uh,
Yeah, and while the idea is as a doctor you want to do the greatest number of good, but then she was also thinking it's like, but at the same time, what do you do? You have to weigh: is this person good? Is like me making this sacrifice for these four people? Are these people murderers? Are they going to go out and end up, killing off more people than like me saving four lives?
in the
But then
immediate.
that also ends up ending
Mhm.
100 lives or
Yeah, but
more.
what about
And so I think that was
yeah? What
part of
about
the
as a
test.
doctor? Like could isn't my one life is capable of saving like hundreds more lives?
Exactly. So, and I think that was part of the
Hmm.
test as well, where you have to make critical thinking and not just like, oh yeah, that makes
Right, and
sense.
I think yeah, and funny enough, I think like, and it seems so interesting that Hilary Swank's character was introduced at such a moment,
It's such a
at
juncture.
such a juncture as
Yeah.
this.
Oh, well,
So
that's
yeah,
great
because
storytelling.
up until that point, it was all academic. It was all thought
Yeah.
exercise. But now here is a practical scenario exercise
Exercise.
for you to
Yeah.
enact your like morality.
It's one of those things too with her character. Did you, when you, because you were coming to this the first time, when you saw her, like, did you believe her character? Did you think that she
Who she said
was,
she was? No.
yeah,
A part of me thought that she was. I thought, well, my understanding was that all the embryos were the same. All the girl embryos was the same as the daughter, as same as daughter.
oh,
And so,
that's interesting.
because then
So are they clones?
potentially, at least the ones that mother use pulls out from the from not from the like the deep cold storage, but the ones that are in the room with the artificial wombs. I think at
Yeah,
least
yeah, yeah.
those might be like clones, because I also thought that there was such a there. I don't know if you saw it, but there was such a striking resemblance between daughter and Hilary Swank's character,
Right.
and
Okay, I wasn't alone in that. I'm not. I wasn't
Plus,
crazy to think
plus,
that
okay,
they do
I'm
look
not
a
gonna
lot
give
like.
away, because I want to get there a little bit more naturally. But what revelation comes at the very end of this movie is also kind of leads me to the idea that Hilary Swank's character is an older version of the daughter character.
Oh, whoa! I didn't even consider that.
I mean, just because of the ending, or at least or Hilary Swank character's ending.
Oh my god! Wow, that's I didn't even fucking consider that. That's interesting.
Right, because at least when the montage of like the baby going into daughter, they all there just seems like a logical progression of like how they look. Like the girl that was like doing ballet, you could see her growing up into being
Yeah.
like the actress who plays daughter, or like looks physically like daughter.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And even when later on in the movie, when daughter comes across you know the records of the previous iterations, there's a photo of one of the experiments, and she looks vaguely like a younger a much younger child version of daughter's character. So that's what got me to think. That's what got me to start thinking that maybe that the embryos that they're using initially to experiment with were clones, and that Hilary Swank's character might have been an earlier version of the daughter character. Although I don't know if it's just maybe not the best writing, but she had no recollection of the bunker facility. Um, but then it does track that she said that she was found as a baby by other like a smaller group of humans.
So then here's the other thing too. Then, do you think that those do you think that those other people exist that she like drew pictures of?
Possibly, but it also could have been memories implanted into her.
Hmm.
I know, but again,
Yeah, because it feels.
because again, and it just might be bad writing, but like I think that might be a little bit of a hole, because if she said that she said that she was found by she was found as a baby, and she was taken in by another
Mhm.
group of like a smaller group of human beings, and they lived in like these abandoned mines. Um, but she said like I saw all manner of evil, but then she has these pictures that she drew in a book, and you don't draw pictures of people if you don't have good associations with them.
That's true.
I mean, just as a slight case study, um, in in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, when
Hmm.
what is it? When he draws
Oh, when he draws
the faces, when he
like.
draws Solomon Lang's character, and then when he draws Elsa Faust's character, um, with Solomon Lang, it's just very like descriptive, like sharp lines, like it's like these are the facts of what this guy looks like. But then when he draws Elsa, it's very much more
Right.
detailed, like a little bit softer, because he actually got to interact with her, and she
More.
actually aided him in his escape.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
even Luther says it's like, oh, this guy is an enemy, but Ethan trusts her.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's a good point. Oh, it's such a I never considered that Hilary Swank's character could potentially be one of the former kids.
Yeah, it's. I mean, there's no proof
And
that
maybe
she
like
is, but
do you so here's what I'm thinking is that she was
okay.
here's what I'm thinking. She said she was found as a baby. I don't know if I believe that because we found that the other experiments were aborted. Maybe she was smart. Maybe she didn't match up to the what the requirements were for the mother program, but she knew that she was going to be killed and she fucking escaped somehow and she ran into other people that were out in the world and over the course of time as she grew up she those people ended up passing away from starvation or whatever and
Well, see, this is where
she
I don't think
was
that's it because she doesn't recognize the facility. If she grew up to an age where she was able to make her escape, then she would have
that might not be the only facility though.
perhaps, but but again, seeing as there's no evidence of other bunkers, we have to assume that that is the only bunker.
Okay, yeah, you're right. That's right. I don't
Yeah,
know. I'm
again,
just, like I said, I'm
this
just
just might
spitballing here.
be
I'm just
a work of faulty writing. But
yeah. It's like it feels like there's just enough mystery there where you were like, I just want to know like just a little bit more. Give me just a little bit more, and you just don't
right.
have it.
I mean, yeah, and again, like I'm my one of my theories is that the Hilary Swank character, she was raised primarily in a tank essentially, and she was encoded with the memories of being in a mine and living with other human beings. And then she was then released out into the wild. Just and then she was then pursued back, or she was at least allowed to go and like make a shelter for herself and like kind of live her life before the other robots were sent out to go and like corral her towards the bunker facility.
So you think the robot? Do you think that the other robots shot her?
Yes, but I think they were using smaller caliber bullets. Because if you remember when Mother told her like, oh, she shot herself, or someone like some of her compatriots might have shot her to to garner your sympathies, and she said that, oh, they were the same caliber as the ones I pulled from my body. And then when she finally went to go investigate the matter herself, she found that it was different calibers. And the one she pulled
Yeah.
out was smaller than the one that she used on Mother, that Hilary Swank's character used on Mother,
Right. Right.
which
Right.
then which then put the doubt in her mind about Mother's intentions. Um, but yeah, I think they used smaller caliber to ensure that they wouldn't kill Hilary Swank's character.
Oh, interesting. Well, and as we find out, like all those other robots are
Right, because
mother too.
it's a
So
singular
maybe
consciousness.
this was. So do you think that mother what this is kind of like she was always talking about like, oh, the exam, you had to worry about your exam, but this was the exam.
Right, kind of like I mean, to use a Star Wars reference, like the trials, the trials that
Mm-hmm.
a Jedi Padawan takes before they're what is it? They pass on to full knighthood, something like that. Yeah, I do think it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. But I also have to wonder the ending scene with Hilary Swank, because she obviously daughter she ends up convincing daughter that they need to escape. Hilary Swank and daughter, they end up escaping the facility, and she realizes that like there's nobody out there. It's just Hilary Swank and like the dog and nothingness. And she's like, "Well, you lied to me. Why? You're just." It's like, "Oh, we can do it together." It's like all your other companions are dead. Like, why would I stay here? It's like we can all survive back there. And when she wants to go back for her brother that she had picked out to be born, and that's really when all hell breaks loose. And the she has to make that decision of like, well, no, I need to do that. I need to save my brother, and I can do it. I don't need you to survive anymore, and I can do it on my own. And so mother allows daughter to essentially shoot her, kill her, and that's when at the end we see Hilary Swank, who's like, she realized she got abandoned again, and she's just sitting in that
cargo container,
like little cargo container, and mother shows up, and mother kills her, right? Like that's I think we assume that.
But yeah, that's what makes me think
Because
that she was a plant,
why?
because it's like because she says like, oh, look, you survived, as though like you had a purpose. And so maybe Hilary Swank was, the final test for daughter to see, so if she passed, then uh, she was then ready to take on the mantle of mother.
Why? The other thing I was thinking about too is it's all because obviously like this is all like if we're thinking if our theories are correct, this is all a test, and the cornfields that are being grown right outside of the bunker, is that are they what's the point of that? Like why are they creating that food source?
I think it is for. I don't think mother was lying when she said that she was programmed for the preservation of humanity. Um,
Mm.
so I think uh, the robot. I think the robots, they started cultivating food in preparation for daughter's potential, I guess, graduation.
Yeah, but yeah, it was overall an interesting movie, and then she daughter obviously mother in her eyes is dead.
Right.
She's not going to be
She
bothered
killed
again by
the
mother.
physical representation of mother that the only physical representation of mother that she's known. So yeah, that's why you have like that heart wrenching scene of her, like, shooting out the mother's CPU, because I mean, it was essentially a lie, because she said, like, even though I think she knows in her head that, because she revealed that I'm like, mother, I met you at the door, I every one of those, robots is mother. I think she knows in her head, but in her heart, because she has that emotional attachment to that particular unit, that to destroy that unit was the same thing as killing Mother.
Do you think that Mother cares about her?
I think maybe not in an interpersonal sort of way, but she cares for daughter in the potential that she can serve in for the future generation.
I see. Okay. Yeah, because she says like, if you ever need me, it's like I won't, and blammo. And daughter also looks. She's looking through the cryo chamber vats, like where all the embryos are stored, and she's singing that lullaby that that was taught, that she learned as a kid. And is she going to awaken all those embryos? Like, what do you think happens to daughter after this?
Yeah, I think that she assumes the title, the mantle of mother, and she literally becomes the mother of humanity.
So here's what I'm thinking is, okay, so the test is, if my theory is correct, the test is to make sure that this new generation of humanity is empathetic, sympathetic, actual, like, actual humans. And because she passed that test, now you no longer need the robot mother. Now you have a real mother who can be a mother to all of these children. She essentially making her the Eve moving forward. She is the Eve of the new humanity. Solved it. Boom. Got it. Book 'em.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have any like other questions or thoughts about the movie. But what did you think about it, Andy? Did you said you ended up liking this, right?
Enjoyable. I was
for a Netflix original movie.
I was entertained. I was entertained, and it was enjoyable. Dude, I think the casting of Rose Byrne as the voice of Mother was perfect. She just has like that really perfect, that perfect soft, gentle, womanly voice, where like sometimes I forgot that Mother was a robot.
Right.
She just had this,
and
she had like this perfect tone.
You like Mother. Yeah, you end up liking Mother. I mean, at least I did. I was kind of, and then it's like, oh man, it's like Mother is the villain. And I was like, oh, that seems like that's such a natural twist, like like of course Mother is evil or something like that. But the twist really is that she's not.
Or you want to believe that Mother is different from these other like droids or dozers, as Hilary Swank's character calls them, like different from those other dozers. But then you find out like, they were all Mother, and so it's just like whoa. And then.
So so the other thing too, because of that, like, because she talks about Hilary Swank talks about like the dozers and how like they were essentially attacking her and like her group. Do you believe that?
I don't necessarily believe her, just because of the revelation at the end, where Mother comes in, like say, oh, like how could you have survived? It's as though you were your life was had a purpose, and it's like, and so does your death.
Yeah, so it was really interesting ending to the film. Like I said, I think we certainly had a lot of questions about it, and we were theorizing about it.
But again, if I gotta,
the movie
yeah,
is.
I'm not exactly sure how Hilary Swank's character fully fits into the movie.
That I would say that is a weakness to the film, and I think it goes back to the idea of, I think they wanted to leave certain things a little bit ambiguous and not necessarily fully explain the outside world. We're not gonna focus on why humanity is essentially relying on is left in this bunker. We're not gonna get what was happening outside of the bunker. That's not the point of the movie, I think. And because it doesn't service the point of like what they were trying to go for, we don't get the full story. We don't get those aspects that,
I mean, unless like I'm missing
maybe would help
like completely, because I mean, I kept pointing towards logic, but like there's nothing that says that that they have the capability of putting memories into people, or having or carrying,
right,
or developing human beings past gestational periods, long enough to middle age, as Hilary Swank actually is, and then releasing them into the
right.
wild, or some such thing. So that
No,
logic doesn't track. So we can't apply it to that character.
yeah. So we
I mean,
just don't know, and that's okay.
it'd be more of a convenient explanation of her character, but not necessarily the actual backstory for that character.
Yeah,
Yeah, but then again, that
but
just might be the weak spot in the writing of this movie.
yeah. With all that said, how you gonna rate it, Andy?
I don't know, I'm pretty torn. Uh, I was gonna give it a 4, but then I might want to drop it down to 3.5. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed myself.
You talked about like
I still enjoyed
yeah,
myself. I still think that this is a entertaining movie. Um, and interestingly enough, I was entertained in the same way that I was entertained by Predestination.
okay, yeah, because there's a
Yeah,
message here that is being thrust at you, but it's also entertaining you at the same
exactly.
time.
And yeah, but I still, yeah, but you know what? I think I'm gonna go with 3.5, just because of the weakness of Hilary Swank's character.
Andy, we are back to being on the same
Simpatico.
wavelength, because I was thinking the same thing. This movie is really good. It's fun. It's I'm entertained, and obviously, like, there's the what you're thinking about, like maybe like it's bad writing. I don't know. I would love to learn more about the making
Right.
of this film and what some of the thinking was
Mm-hmm.
behind this. But yeah, it's there's I want to know more, but we just don't have enough. We don't have enough with Hilary Swank. We don't have enough of, maybe just you don't have to tell us everything, but maybe just like a little bit more of what is going on outside of the
Right.
bunker.
Well, I mean, the
Maybe we show
beginning,
like
yeah,
what
we
Hillary
do.
Swank.
There's there's allusions to war, because there's like rumblings, and like you see like dust fall from the ceiling up, above in the bunker. So we know that there's a war, whether that's a war, of humanity against humanity, or humanity against the machines. We really don't know. Uh,
And that's the thing, is like what we just don't know, but you want to know more. And yeah, Hillary Swank is well, she's really good in like the scenes that she's in. we don't get
Right,
enough
and
of
then
her
and she does,
character, and it's really hard to get
yeah, and
in with
she
her.
does introduce a um, very practical element for the protagonist of Daughter, because here is because Hilary Swank's character offers that practicum to all of the theory that she's been learning about empathy,
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
morality, about compassion. So,
Exactly.
all right.
But yeah, so with all that said, yeah, I'm with you. 3.5. If like I said, Netflix doesn't necessarily put out a lot of good stuff. I mean, they're hit or miss. Yeah, sometimes they put out really interesting stuff. Sometimes they don't. They put out a lot of garbage. This is one of the ones. It's pretty good. I think it would be it's a recommend for me. I think you should watch it. Check it out. It's interesting. It's fun. Maybe after hearing our discussion on it, some of the theories, maybe you'll watch it and then you'll come up with theories of your own and say like, Andy, Rob, you're wrong.
Right.
Here's
Yeah.
why.
Yeah. You can tell us we were completely off the mark, or you say you're right up until this point, or you're right about this point but wrong about that point. We welcome the discussion. We welcome the discussion.
Oh yeah, I mean this movie definitely gives a good discussion.
All right, folks. There you
All
have it. That's
right.
our review for I Am Mother. Both Robert and I give this a 3.5. Yeah, it was